Women who dated older men as teenagers that now realize they were predators. What's your story? Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. I was 15 with a 21-year-old. He hung around youth group and made all us younger girls feel special with his attention. I was shy and quiet, didn't stand out much, but obviously wanted the special attention that all the prettier, peppier girls got. He wasn't interested until he found out my mum worked nights and I was home alone. We ended up getting into a pretty heated argument and split when, 2 weeks in, I still hadn't let him come over, because I was terrified of what my mum would do if she knew I'd had anyone over while she was gone. Glad you stood up to him, but kudos to your mum for raising you right. She ruled with what I thought, at the time, was an unfair iron fist. The older I've grown, the more appreciative I've been. When I was younger, my parents monitored everything I posted online. I could search for whatever. Even for a simple Facebook comment, I had to get their approval. Now, I'm happy that whatever cringy thing I may have wanted to post at 10 years old isn't readily available on the internet. Made all us younger girls feel special with his attention. Male attention is a freaking superpower for girls that age. It's terrible. Yup, and seeking out the quiet, insecure ones. Pattern behavior. My mother found older boys to introduce me to when I was 15, 16. She would take me to coffee shops or sneak me into bars and charm her way with men in their 20s only to introduce them to me. I would date them, and she would get chores done around the house that she needed. Painted kitchen, fixed cabinets, roof work, stuff like that. I remember my best friend's mum trying to warn me and explain to me why it was wrong of my mother to let her 15-year-old date 25-year-olds. But I just thought I was really cool. It wasn't until one of them found me online and reached out a few years ago that I realized what she'd actually been doing all that time. And of course, none of these guys knew what the frick they were doing, so the house looked like it anyways. That is so fricked up. Yeah, but she laughed anytime I would bring it up to her. It was like a sport to her. What the frick? That's awful. Frick her. Your mother was whoring you out for cheap labor. Jesus. Do you have a relationship with her today? She still doesn't see it this way. He'll always resent that. I was 11 and he was 23. We didn't date. He had a girlfriend, but he would text me and send me nudes. Eventually I realized it was strange and blocked him. Didn't tell anyone about it. I sometimes wonder if it's impacted me more than I would care to admit. I had a similar thing. He was 19 and I was 11, and he would always ask me for nudes, but I never sent them cause I knew it was wrong deep down. I finally got the courage to tell my friends a little while ago. Also, happy cake day. 11. I had boobs at 11 and got hit on by a disgustingly high number of grown men. I learned from a class in high school. Most predators don't pull in an ice cream truck, they tend to be 20+ men, women too, who bait young people by calling them mature and independent. I think the weirdest thing I saw was dudes in college dating 9th or 10th graders. I was 13 with a 22-year-old boyfriend. He made me feel special, grown up. My friends were all jealous. To be honest, he was hot. A predator, but a solid 10. We met on Xbox Live. Those were the days, and started a relationship. I was in my ugly duckling phase, so was drawn into it by the attention. No boys my own age seemed interested in me. I was bullied a bit and it was nice for a good looking older boy to think I was pretty. He slowly pressured me into X. Started with pushing me into XLX on webcam, to oral, then full X. He always insisted on filming everything. Because he loved me so much he wanted to only use our videos as peen. What I wasn't aware of was the fact he was showing all his friends and they made bets on how quickly he could get me to do something else. Whenever I pushed back he always said, if I wanted to date a man I needed to act like a woman, otherwise he would find a girl more willing to have a proper relationship with him. He then tried to pressure me into sleeping with his friends. Started with a threesome, him included. Then one night he asked me to just sleep with his friend. I saw his friend give him money, which is when I realized this whole thing was a lie, and left. Bro, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I hope you're doing well now. Oh yeah, I'm fine now. Went through a rough patch after this where I relied on X to prove my self-worth, but snapped out of that at 15 and realized I needed help. A few years of therapy later I was back on track, smiley face. Holy it, I'm struggling to grasp these ages you are stating. Can't imagine dealing with stuff like that at those ages. Well done for getting through it. It's so weird how some people can get exposed to it like that while the rest of us walk around ignorant. I'm genuinely very happy that your story has a happy ending. You sound like a strong girl. I wish you all the best in life, D. He was my guidance counselor. I didn't realize how creepy he was until he proposed. The whole thing was fricked. The guidance counselor at our middle school had only girls, and a few most often. In his office, door shut. You could feel it was off, even though I was naive and knew nothing about nothing. And this was confirmed when I asked one why she was in there alone a lot and she looked absolutely panicked. As an adult, I heard he had been at the high school and they moved him because of some improprieties. Keep it creepy. 1980s. My first boyfriend. I was barely 15. He was 21. Worked in a local shop and all the girls at my school liked him, so came as a bit of a surprise when the biggest dork ever, me, somehow landed him and not any of the popular girls. We dated for maybe 4 months. Turned out he was sleeping with 3 girls in my year, which I found confusing because I begged him to take my virginity to no avail. Always found that really weird and insulting that he never even wanted to sleep with me. Plot twist. My mum had stormed into the shop when we first started dating and told him, "If you take my daughter's virginity, I will kill you with my bare hands." God bless my mum. I met a dude on Adult Swim's forums back when I was around 12. He was 24 and was nice to me. Things always seemed hinky to me even from the beginning, but I had no friends in real life and was definitely in an ugly duckling place, so I figured that if this is who is going to pay attention to me, so be it. He would tell me the things he wanted to do to me and eventually sent me a hideously low-res picture of his dong, and all I remember is trying to laugh it off and said I thought he sent me a picture of a sock. Eventually, he started asking that if we met in person if he could tie me up and take nudes of me. He started talking about buying a plane ticket to visit me and for my address, and I guess I finally had a bad enough gut feeling and didn't go through with it. My family eventually found out about us talking and it was a huge deal. I was rightfully banned from the internet for a while. Not that it mattered much, because I wound up meeting another awful dude older than me, but this one was locally grown, lol. Jesus Christ, this same exact thing happened to me. The way my parents found out was because he ordered me a freaking Hollister hoodie and mailed it to my house. I gave him my address. He was 33 and I was 12. In true pedo fashion, my old guy sent me all my favorite candy via mail. I was young enough that I told my parents it was from my pen pal at Girl Scout camp. I met him on the Words with Friends app and he was maybe 30. I was 15 and met a 30-year-old who was an older brother of a boy I met in group therapy. He used to tell me how complicated and mature I was. LOL, so cliche. I'm now 24 and seeing or interacting with anyone who is 15 makes me sick. I felt so old then, but it's insane now how obvious to me that people that age are children. I feel the same way. I'm in shock whenever I see a 16-year-old, because they are just so young. I'm 32 now, same age as the man that took advantage of me. He texted that he was standing outside my middle school waiting for me. I broke out in a cold sweat and I knew I had made a massive mistake. God, what did you do? I filed out behind a huge group of kids and ran home. I never saw him, so I'm not sure where he was. I'm glad you managed your way out of it. It was one of the very few rational choices I made at that age. I don't think I've ever told anyone about this. It's one of my deepest shames. I had sex with a 28-year-old when I was 13 and thought it was perfectly normal. He always complimented me, bought me stuff, and drove me places when I needed a ride. Looking back now, I can't believe I didn't realize how fricked up that was. To this day he can't find someone to date that's his age. I'm 24 now, from what I heard from rumors. There's a scumbag in our town that dates all the town's 16-year-olds. My husband got beaten up by him for protecting scumbag's girlfriend from him. She was a classmate of his. Douchebag broke my husband's rib and kicked him on the ground. Luckily he got a short jail sentence and a like 3-year restraining order. My husband felt terrible when it happened because we'd just started dating long distance and he thought it sounded like a weird catfishing story. Guy is like 35 now and still dating girls who don't know any better. Frick you Chris, you a-hole. I'm sorry to hear that about your husband. I hope he's doing well now. He's doing great. That rib sometimes aches, but otherwise is okay. Unfortunately ribs never heal quite right.